I'm Barbara Wilson, 63, from Raleigh, North Carolina. My husband Frank lay dying in the ICU, his hand weak in mine. Stage 4 cancer had stolen his strength, and I spent every day by his side, praying for one more smile. Our daughter, Kristen, 35, promised to handle things at home. "Don't worry, Mom," she said, kissing my cheek. I trusted her. I'd raised her alone after Frank's first diagnosis, working as a school secretary to keep our modest ranch house paid off. But one night, a nurse handed me my phone. Missed calls from my neighbor Tom. "Bob, there's a bank notice on your door," he said. I drove home, heart pounding, and found it. A mortgage foreclosure warning, $250,000 in my name. Kristen's signature was on the documents, forged with my initials. She'd mortgaged our house while I held Frank's hand, thinking I'd never notice. Frank passed that week. His last words, "Keep the house, Bob." Grief mixed with rage. Kristen didn't visit the hospital after that, texting excuses about work. I taught her to be strong, not cruel. The house was our legacy. Frank's garden, our porch swing. She'd gambled it for what? I called my friend Linda, a retired paralegal. "This is fraud," she said, voice sharp. I found Kristen's laptop in her old room, her password unchanged since college. Emails showed she'd taken the loan with her boyfriend, Mark, to fund a real estate venture. One read, "Mom's too busy with Dad to care." My hand shook, but my secretary's precision took over. Organize, act, win. I saved the emails to a USB. Linda suggested a lawyer, Sarah, who specialized in elder fraud. "We'll stop this," Sarah said. I wasn't just a grieving widow. I was a fighter, shaped by years of balancing budgets and Frank's hospital bills. Kristen thought I'd crumble, lost in sorrow. She didn't know I'd learned to compartmentalize pain in the ICU. Tom brought me coffee, promising to rally neighbors. I wasn't alone. Kristen had betrayed me at my lowest, but Frank's memory fueled me. I'd save our house, not just for me, but for the life we'd built. She'd learn, you don't cross a mother who's lost everything but her fight. Back at home, grief for Frank battled my fury. I sat at our kitchen table, the foreclosure notice glaring. Linda pored over the documents, spotting Kristen's forged signature, a sloppy imitation of mine. "She used your identity," Linda said, shaking her head. I opened Kristen's laptop again, finding bank statements linked to Pinnacle Realty, Mark's company. The $250,000 was funneled into a failing condo project in Charlotte. Emails between Kristen and Mark bragged about easy money from Mom's equity. One read, "She's stuck at the hospital." Perfect timing. My heart broke. My daughter, my girl, had planned this while I watched Frank fade. I'd sewn her prom dress, cheered her graduation, and this was my reward. Linda called Sarah, who confirmed the mortgage was illegal without my consent. "We can void it," Sarah said, "but we need more evidence." I dug deeper, finding a text from Mark, get her to sign over the deed next. They weren't done. I remembered Frank's advice. "Document everything, Bob." I screenshot every email, saved every text. Tom, my neighbor, checked our mailbox, finding more bank letters addressed to Kristen, demanding payments. She'd redirected my mail to hide it. I called Rachel, a fraud investigator from my school days. She traced Pinnacle Realty's filings. Mark was underwater, using my house to dodge creditors. Kristen's name was on 3 shell companies, all tied to the loan. "This is prosecutable," Rachel said. I nodded, my secretary's calm masking rage. I'd spent years organizing chaos, Class schedules, hospital bills. This was just another mess to fix. Linda suggested a sting. Confront Kristen with a recorder, legal in North Carolina for one-party consent. I bought a small device, hiding it in a locket Frank gave me. Kristen texted, "Coming by tomorrow, Mom. Let's talk." She thought I was clueless, broken by grief. She didn't know I'd learned to read people. Students lying about homework, doctors dodging questions. I called Claire, a local news blogger, hinting at a story about elder fraud. "After you confront her," Claire said, "I'll run it." My plan formed. Expose Kristen and Mark, save the house, honor Frank. They'd used. Sarah's office smelled of coffee and paper, her desk stacked with fraud cases. She filed an emergency injunction to freeze the mortgage, citing the forged signature. "We've got a strong case," she said, clutching my USB of Kristen's emails. I wanted more than legal victory. I wanted Kristen and Mark to face their betrayal publicly. Linda suggested a recorded confrontation at my house, leveraging North Carolina's one-party consent law. I practiced hiding the recorder in my locket, my voice steady, despite the ache for Frank. Rachel's research deepened. Pinnacle Realty's condo project was a Ponzi scheme, using my mortgage to pay earlier investors. Kristen had signed as a consultant, pocketing $50,000. I found a bank letter in Kristen's room demanding repayment. Mark had defaulted already. My house was their lifeline, and they'd planned to push me out. I wasn't just a mom. I'd managed school budgets, negotiated with banks for Frank's care. I could outsmart them. Rachel connected me with a whistleblower, Amy, a former Pinnacle employee fired for questioning ghost loans. Amy met me at a Raleigh diner, handing over memos showing Kristen's role in the fraud. "She knew it was illegal," Amy said, voice low. I recorded her, my locket humming. My plan was clear. Invite Kristen and Mark for a grief talk, serve the injunction, and get their confession. Claire agreed to film the aftermath for her blog, exposing Pinnacle's scam. I called Tom, who rallied neighbors to attend, a show of support. I ironed my black dress, the one I'd worn to Frank's funeral, a reminder of what I'd lost and what I'd fight for. Kristen texted, "We'll fix everything, Mom." I didn't reply. She thought I was a grieving widow, too weak to notice. She didn't know I'd learned strategy from years of stretching paychecks, from holding Frank's hand through chemo. Linda prepped my dining room, hiding a backup recorder in a vase. Sarah filed fraud charges, ready to serve them post-confrontation. I looked at Frank's garden, wilting but salvageable. Kristen had mortgaged our home to bury me. I'd unearth her lies, not just for me, but for the life Frank and I built. Tomorrow, they'd walk into my trap, thinking they'd won. They'd learn a widow's fight is unstoppable. Kristen and Mark sat at my dining table, their smiles thin. I served iced tea, my locket recorder on. Tom lingered nearby, his presence grounding. "We're sorry about Dad," Kristen said, eyes dry. Mark nodded. "Too quick." I set the foreclosure notice down. "Explain this," I said, voice calm. Kristen's face tightened. "It's just a loan, Mom. For the business, I slid the forged mortgage papers forward." "With my signature?" "Forged?" Mark laughed, nervous. "A mix-up, Barbara." I didn't flinch. "You took $250,000, using my house, while I was with Frank." Kristen's eyes darted to Mark. "We needed capital," she said. I played Amy's recording. Kristen knew it was illegal. Their jaws dropped. "You spied on us?" Mark snapped. I leaned in. "You stole my home." Kristen scoffed. "You don't need it, Mom. You're old." My locket caught every word. Tom cleared his throat. You drained Frank's savings too. Kristen's face reddened. That's our inheritance. I pulled out Sarah's injunction. The loan's frozen. The DA's filing fraud charges. Mark stood, knocking over his glass. You can't prove anything. I played the email audio. She's too busy with Dad to care. Kristen's eyes widened. Mom, please, she begged. We were desperate. Mark hissed, shut up. But the confession was mine. I called Claire, who arrived with a news van. Outside, I spoke to her camera. My daughter mortgaged my house while my husband died. I'm fighting back. Neighbors cheered, holding signs. Save Bob's home. Kristen and Mark fled, tires screeching. Sarah served the cease and desist as cameras rolled. The next day, Claire's blog ran the story. Daughter's fraud targets grieving mom. Pinnacle Realty collapsed. Its investors suing Mark. The DA charged Kristen with forgery. Her name ruined. Tom brought me a casserole saying, You're tougher than nails. I smiled, my heart heavy but unbroken. Frank's garden needed tending, but it would bloom again. Kristen thought I'd break in the hospital's shadow. Instead, I'd broken their scheme. My house stood, a testament to our love. They'd used my grief to bury me, but I'd risen, proving a witch. Claire's story hit Raleigh's airwaves. Widow fights daughters, $250,000 fraud. Kristen and Mark faced trial, convicted of forgery and fraud. Kristen got probation, ordered to repay $50,000. Mark got 3 years. His condo scheme exposed. My house was safe, the mortgage voided. I sat on our porch swing, Frank's absence a quiet ache. Kristen sent a letter, apologizing, begging to reconnect. I didn't answer. I'd raised her to value family, not exploit it. Her betrayal while I held Frank's hand cut deeper than any loan. I kept one photo of her, young and laughing, but boxed the rest. The community rallied, neighbors, colleagues, even students' parents, donating to my legal fees. I started a group, Widows Against Fraud, teaching seniors to spot scams. Check every signature, I told them, my secretary's precision guiding my words. Claire's blog grew, calling me Raleigh's resilient widow. I shrugged. I was just Barbara, who'd learned to fight through grief. Tom helped me replant Frank's garden, roses blooming again. Rachel and Linda joined me for coffee, toasting my win. You turned pain into power, Rachel said. I nodded, thinking of Frank's last words. Keep the house. I had. Months later, Kristen showed up, eyes red, holding a check for $10,000. I'm trying, Mom, she said. I took the check for the fun but didn't invite her in. Keep trying, I said, closing the door. Forgiveness wasn't ready, but the path was open. Mark's name faded, his firm bankrupt. I walked Raleigh's streets, the hospital's shadow lifting. My group packed community centers, seniors sharing stories, learning from mine. A young widow hugged me, saying, You gave me courage. I smiled, seeing Frank's strength in her. At home, I hung a new photo. Me, Tom, and neighbors, laughing at a fundraiser. The house stood, its walls holding Frank's memory, my fight. Kristen's mortgage was her weapon, meant to break me while I grieved. Instead, I'd broken her lies, rebuilding with community and purpose. I wasn't just a widow or a secretary. I was Barbara Wilson, who turned betrayal into a beacon. The porch swing creaked as I sat, Raleigh's sunset warm. They'd gambled on my grief, but I'd won, proving love and grit outlast greed. My home, my heart, were mine again. Thank you so much for watching this story till the end. I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learn something from it. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, full of life lessons, drama, and emotions, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss an update. Your support means the world, and it helps me keep bringing you more inspiring and unforgettable stories. Stay tuned because more amazing stories are on the way.